Hey, how you doing? This is RJ. Last week I talked a little bit about what I thought the condition of Marvel Comics was and where it's coming from Disney. I basically was saying that it seems to me that since the Marvel movies make a lot of money for Disney, that's why they bought Marvel to begin with, just to make money off of the movies. They never wanted to have to deal with the comic company, and it doesn't make them money anyways. So my thought was that they're using Marvel Comics basically to keep SJWs off their backs. They're using them and saying, so they can say to people that are looking for this forced diversity, they can say to them, look, see, we have our whole source material industry is working on this. So they can shove them over there and say, look, we're dealing with that. And so these SJWs can't touch the movies, which is their moneymaker. And I think, and a few other people have talked about this as well, that DC is doing the same thing in a different way. They've recently announced their new Vertigo line, and their new Vertigo line is just SJW Central. And I think that's what they're doing with it. They're taking all the crazy people and putting them behind this wall, putting them in this room together to do Vertigo books so that they can tell all these SJWs out there that, look, we have a whole line that's pumping out diversity and, all of these things that SJWs always go on about. And so these people can't touch their main line, which is their moneymaker, with their main core heroes. And that's, I think, what DC is doing in the same way. But I was listening to a few other things lately, and I came across something that everyone usually brings up, and I thought about it for a little bit. And it's the fact that the Marvel's quality of everything is going down. Okay, and I mean everything. We're talking paper quality is going down. We're talking ink quality is going down. And certainly the quality of the stories and the quality of the art is going down. So obviously the quality of the artists and the quality of the writers themselves are going down. And basically insiders have been saying that the people who work for Marvel, they get paid peanuts. They really don't get paid much of anything anymore. So if Marvel is saving money on printing costs through paper and cheap ink, and they're saving money on production costs, on cheap labor for art and storytelling, then why, I ask myself, why are the prices not going down? Why are the prices even going up in some cases? Because there was a drop in some comic prices last year, but I think that was only for DC. If it was for Marvel as well, somebody correct me in the comments. But I think it was only for DC. So usually when you have a company that's cutting costs, they try to pass that benefit on to the customer. They say, at the very least, as a sort of something to let them know that this is why they're cutting costs, so that they placate the customers. They satisfy them a little bit so that they know that they're getting a lesser product. But they say, look, they would do it in order to save themselves money for a number of reasons, but they'll pass that a little bit on to the customer and say, look, I know we're cutting quality here and there, but we're passing it on to you. We're doing it so that we can give you a better product for less money, or give you the same product at the very least for less money. And that's the marketing way to deal with it. But that's not happening with Marvel. They're not doing that. And as I was thinking about it, it came to my mind that I've seen this pattern somewhere else before. And the pattern that I have seen in basically its case studies of businesses. And the case studies usually deal with the insurance business. Okay, so the case study usually goes as follows. You have an insurance company, and they insure people, and they have somebody who they insure that they don't want to insure anymore. He's a bad risk. He's a liability. He has shown that he's just going to cost them money in the future, or he's gone into a bracket of age-wise or something, like the person has gotten so old that they now become a liability. They don't want to insure them anymore. But the good business model is never tell your customers to go away. You should never tell your customers to go away. That's what the good business model says. So you don't tell your customers to go away because it creates complainers. And complainers like to complain, and they like to complain to other people. And they like to pass that complaint on to other people so that other people can complain, and you have more complainers, and all of a sudden you start losing business because of this one complainer. So you don't tell customers to go away. That's a bad business model. But you also never, as in if you're not just a mom and pop store, but or a big business for a business model, you never have a customer that you lose money on. So how do you deal with that? So the quandary is, how do you deal with that? Well, the simple solution is, and it's kind of a deceptive solution for the customer because they never know that this is going on. The solution is, so you have your insurance company, you're insuring this person, and they don't make you money. You're losing money on this person. So what you do is you jack up the premiums on this person, and you give them no service whatsoever, and don't tell them what's going on. So they have to pay a lot more for less service, and they basically don't know why this is going on. So what happens in this situation? Well, one of two things happens. Number one, you either start making money off of this person because you're getting a lot more money out of them and you're giving them no service whatsoever. So at the very least, you're breaking even or making some money off of this person. Or the more likely case, which is what they want, is they drive this person away. Because the person looks at it and says, why am I paying this much? He might do it for a year and then go, why am I paying this much? I can find a better deal over here. And so when that customer leaves on his own choosing by thinking to himself, I'm a smart person, I'm going to get a better deal over here, then he's not a complainer. He's not someone that they have to worry about as complainer. So they get rid of that idea that they're going to have a complainer on their hands because their customer leaves of their own volition and because they think they can get a better deal somewhere else. So they think they're being smart. So it's all their choice. So they want to drive the person away. So that's their go-to. If they have to deal with the person and get a lot of money out of them, or enough money out of them, which would be a lot from the customer's perspective, not a lot from the business perspective, then they'll do that. But what they want to do is drive them away and make it think it's their own choice. So they drive up the prices and they give them no quality whatsoever in service. And I kind of see that happening in Marvel right now. So where does this fit into this whole idea of Disney using Marvel comics? Well, again, I really think that Disney is very smart economically in a lot of ways. So if they are in fact using Marvel comics to keep SJWs off their backs, this sort of fits into what's going on, because I think they're purposefully driving customers away. They're decreasing quality in every way, and they're either keeping the price the same or putting the prices up. So it fits into this case study sort of way of dealing with business. They're trying to drive customers away. And the fact that they have these SJW people that are working for them, so that they're putting these books out there, they're hiring these people deliberately, these SJWs, so that they can say, look, we have these SJW lines out here in our comic books to get the SJW in the normal public just off their backs. But they get the added bonus of the fact that they have these SJWs working for them, and they themselves also drive customers away. And they can say, well, look, these people are just our employees. These people are freelance. They have no real connection to us. You can't bring it back on us. It's not our problem that these people are being such idiots online and saying such things that, and everybody is saying, well, they're driving customers away. But Marvel's not doing anything about it. Disney's not doing anything about it. I mean, DC has done stuff about it. There's word that everybody that works for DC, the company has clamped down on them and said, listen, if you're online, if you're talking to customers, you watch your mouth, you mind your P's and Q's, and you don't lose us customers. But Marvel's not doing that. Disney's not doing that. And I think it's because Disney does want to drive its customers away. Because again, it's not making any money off of the Marvel comics. And as I said in one of my other videos, there are people, professionals who had worked for Disney Comics previously and who don't work for them anymore. And they're saying they don't understand why Disney is still producing Marvel Comics. It makes no sense according to their business plan. If this was the Disney comic line, it would have been canceled completely, just gotten rid of. And they don't understand why that's not happening to Marvel Comics. They think that Marvel Comics is going to be canceled soon, that Disney should just get rid of it, and that they will be getting rid of it. But Disney has a bit of a problem with that, because Marvel Comics is a part of Americana. It's been a part of Americana for at least 50 years. And it's sort of in the bloodstream of America. And if you automatically just grabbed onto Marvel Comics, ripped out the characters so that you could make movies from them, and canceled the entire production of Marvel Comics whatsoever, people would be screaming bloody murder. And a lot of people would be upset. And not just comic fans either. You know, if suddenly there was never going to be any more Spider-Man comics anymore, then the normal person would pay attention to that. And that would reflect badly on Disney. So because Marvel Comics and people like Stan Lee are just part of Americana now, they can't just cancel the line. That would cost them customers. And if they can't just cancel the line, what do they do? Because they don't want it and it's not making them any money. Well, they use it for something. And what they're using it for, I would say, is to keep the SJWs off their backs for the movies. And at the same time, they purposefully inflate the prices, give no quality, and try to drive the customers away, just like the insurance company would do. They're trying to drive the customers away so that the customers are no longer there. And once they've driven the customers away long enough, once Marvel has become such a joke in the eyes of the American public, not just comic fans. Sorry for the change in quality. I had to stop recording for a second. So once Marvel becomes a joke in the eyes of comic fans and just the general American public, when it becomes just another small indie company that nobody cares about, then they can get rid of it without a lot of pomp and circumstance. They can just cancel it, get rid of it, and there will be no more Marvel Comics. But until they hit that point where they have alienated enough customers and made Marvel Comics such a joke that nobody cares if it's canceled anymore, then they can't do it. And they're just going to use it as some stopgap to do something else. And they're just going to use it. They're not actually going to use it to fulfill customer needs or wants or to make a good product. So there is a problem with this, and I'm sure that you can see the problem with this. As somebody had asked me earlier when I did my last video, what about Star Wars? Because, you know, they are driving Star Wars into the ground. I think the problem is, well, first of all, Disney is a left-leaning company. You can see that as far back as Walt Disney himself. I mean, they are left-leaning anyways. But they are very savvy when it comes to economics. But they treat things in leftist terms economics. All right, so when they look at their customers and when they look at their workers, they're just cattle. That's what they are. The people going through the turnstiles at Disneyland or Disney World or wherever else, they're just cattle to be counted. They're just numbers. And they don't understand fandom. You can see that through the history of Disney with how many times sequels and things have flopped on them. But they don't understand fandom. They understand how they have a very good idea of optics, which optics would be the marketing term for it. If you want to put it in just general terms that people would use every day, they're very deceptive. They're very good at being deceptive. You can see this in like Disney World, where the picture of it for the normal customer is that it's the most wholesome place on earth. But if you dug a little deeper and you look into how they actually treat their employees, what their employees do, what they feel that customers are, and how they treat the customers, it's the most unwholesome place on the earth. It is just a hive of scum and villainy if you get into the back end of it. But they don't let people see that because they're very good at optics. And they're very good at that kind of economic thing where they have, numbers to deal with and straightforward people going through the turnstiles and kids that they can manipulate and, people with rose-colored glasses on who want to see the Disney experience and all of these things. But when it comes to fandom, they have no idea. And I don't know the whole story with the Star Wars. It is a little bit out of my range of what I know about. I don't follow it completely, but I can see the same thing happening there as is happening with Marvel. They don't understand fandom, especially the kind of fandom, and I may be wrong on this, but my guess is, and I'm sure if you're just looking at numbers of populations for North America, okay, and people who use these kinds of products, I would say that the major section of fandom, just because of the number of people in these categories in North America, are white men. Just because, well, white people make up the majority of the population of North America at this point, and men seem to be attracted to these adventure stories more than women do. Certainly there are plenty of women fans out there in these things, but on the whole, you just look at the numbers, and that's who they are, and that's their fandom. And that's not only are Disney not used to dealing with fandoms, but dealing with fandoms where you have a majority of men, especially, they don't know how to deal with that. And when they put their leftist little ideas into things like Star Wars and it backfires on them, they just don't understand because they don't know how to deal with fandoms. And why I don't think this is going to work so well for Disney if this is what they're doing, if they're trying to drive up the prices and put down the quality so they get rid of the fans of Marvel Comics. They don't understand, and I think they're getting a taste of this right now with Comicsgate, that these people are not going to go silently into the night. Men who make up fandoms, they're going to fight. They're not the passive little children or families that come through the turnstile who can't make a big fuss. No, they're going to fight. And they're going to push back. And that's what Comicsgate is. That's us pushing back. So I don't think Disney quite gets that. And I think, just to end this up, that if we do want quality in our Marvel comics again, we got to start demanding quality in a way which, you would not normally think about this. Every time you make a complaint, which is, a well-grounded complaint about poor quality of this or that, you attach the Disney name to it. You don't say, oh, it's Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics is this, Marvel Comics is that, it's doing this, it's using poor print quality, it's got awful stories. No, you attach the Disney name to that complaint. And that's the only way it becomes a constructive complaint, I would say, because they're going to ignore it otherwise. They're saying, yeah, we know Marvel is awful, and actually that's feeding into what they want. They want everybody to just think Marvel is awful so they can get rid of it. But if you start attaching the Disney name to everything that you complain about, and it starts impacting Disney itself, I think that's the only way that you're going to see any movement in quality whatsoever with Marvel Comics. Anyways, so that's my idea. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment. Give me some new things to chew on, new things to think about. The more perspectives that I can look at this, certainly economically, even as a fan, that's great. So leave a comment, hit like, hit subscribe if you already haven't subscribed. I'd like to thank you for coming and listening to me for this long, and I will see you later. Bye.